Welcome to Marketing Talks, where we uncover insights from business owners and marketing professionals. Today's guest is Alex Catalan, who is an expert in delivering engaging acquisition and retention campaigns for both B2C and B2B enterprises. We'll be talking about the secrets to delivering effective, integrated acquisition campaigns. Stay tuned if you are a business owner or marketing manager who wants to learn how to improve your acquisition campaigns. All right, let's go. Alex, welcome to Marketing Talks. How you doing?
No bad. Thank you.
That's good. Well, let's jump straight to it. So I understand that you are the regional manager of technology in Australia for Traction Next. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right.
Since 2017.
Wow. Okay. So what does it actually mean to be a regional manager? And maybe you can tell me what was your journey to get to where you are today?
Perfect. So I've pretty much started in technology and marketing since I landed in Australia in 2004.
Yep.
Been working on and off on different digital agencies. 2014 decided to actually study marketing. I did a master's in marketing at Sydney Uni, and I moved to client side for a couple of years so I could actually have the whole picture end to end. I spent a lot of time in digital and agency side, and then started in 2017 with what it is now, Traction Next.
Yep.
As a client service director, moving up to a regional manager. So essentially what it is I'm in charge of all the accounts of the agency, and we have a team of account managers, producers, developers. So that's essentially what it is.
That's cool. So what does Traction Next actually do?
Traction Next is a marketing automation tool. So it's an Australian company. It's been in the industry for many years. The reason it's called Traction Next is because we had a previous product called Traction, and it was developed in a different language. I think it was Oracle or something. And this is essentially, it's been in the market for about 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's anything that you can find, anything that you can think of, from email, SMS, automations, journeys, forms, mobile wallet, consumer promotions, everything is within the same platform.
Yeah. So that might tie into my next question, which is getting to the heart of actually what we're talking about is, what is an acquisition campaign?
Good question. It's not that hard, but essentially what it is, it's getting customers into your product, into your brand, getting people actually interested in what you actually have to say. So it's not just a product, it could be a service, it could be anything.
Right. Okay. With that in mind, what have you seen as some of the main challenges that businesses typically face when it comes to creating an acquisition campaign?
Yeah, I think essentially what it is, and for what I've seen, it's planning, having a good understanding of who you're targeting, who your audience is, what information you're going to be capturing when they actually connect with you, and what's your journey after. Because it's once you acquire, when someone gives you the email address, the mobile number, some personal details, has to be some sort of a journey after, so you can keep them engaged. So
okay.
You just can, as soon as someone gives you the details, just 50% of the job. Then keep them engaged is the other 50. And challenges are that people just think about the beginning. Yep. And they don't think about the rest, or when they're actually collecting data, they don't think about what are they going to do after, what sort of communication, what channels, what frequency. So they just collect basic information, and they don't have any details to actually segment data later.
And why do you think that is the case? Like, why do you think people miss that planning or that full journey thought?
I think it's a combination of things. I think probably it's hard for some people just to connect technology with marketing and building journeys and having a good CRM They
Yeah.
can actually help you create journeys after. I think technical skills, I think I'll probably say that that's a main problem.
Yeah. So there's obviously a lot of technology out there that supports the creation of acquisition campaigns, but it also means that there's a lot of technology that can make the whole process a lot easier too, and perhaps more integrated. Do you think there's enough tools out there to make the whole acquisition campaign and the whole journey easier for businesses, or is it still very much a difficult thing?
Yeah, I agree that there is a lot of tools, but with a lot of tools and complexity and tools that can actually plug into your CRM, to e-commerce, to your analytics, to your social media channels, you also require some sort of technical skills. And I think that component, it's not there. Little things like understanding a bit of HTML, so you can actually make things look prettier when the editor is not working, you know?
Yeah.
I think for what I've seen, a lot of people actually fail on that part.
Yeah. So do you have any good examples of acquisition campaigns that have really stood out for you?
Yeah, I've got a few. Over the years. I'm working on a few campaigns. I think one of our clients actually, it's all about what we actually discussed a little bit earlier in terms of thinking about the complete journey and connecting the dots. So essentially what these guys did is created an opportunity with using mobile wallet at the pubs. So they had a QR code, phone, scan, ask for a couple of details, just mobile number, first name, and then pretty much straight after that, they started a series of EDMs with a competition, with different competitions. And running different competitions every 2 or 3 weeks, they were asking for the details they didn't have, such as date of birth, postcode. And then they were profiling slowly these customers. And that helped them in a long term a lot, because essentially they started with something really simple and something that people actually are willing to give you. And then based on small rewards, they started actually getting more details, and they got really complex and comprehensive campaigns. So I think the success of them is that ability to actually think right from the beginning all the way to they've got customers that they've been with them for years.
Yeah. That sounds amazing. And I think most businesses would love to be able to achieve that type of complexity and that sophistication with the use of data. But there's obviously a lot of resource required to produce that level of sophistication and that level of campaign. Is that correct? Does it require a big team to achieve these types of things?
Not always, because it's all about thinking about your end user and also what resources you have available. This is just something that we do with our platform. You can actually do everything within the same site. So you have the forms, you have the competitions, you have everything, and everything points essentially to the same database. So there is no double handling, there is no data collections in one point or silos of data. There's no spreadsheets running around and then having to import. So you pretty much go there, you set up your campaigns, you can see your customers. It's a 360-degree view of a customer. It's very easy to do. So it's about thinking about this solution. We can have all the tools in the world, but if you don't think about the solution end to end, it doesn't matter if you have all the tools,
Yeah, of course. I'd imagine that when it comes to asking someone, come up with an acquisition campaign, it could be quite an overwhelming type of question, because there's so many different directions you could take with something like that. And particularly when it comes to trying to integrate all of this different technology or understanding what technology you should or could use, it can be quite a challenge. But it sounds like the platform that you work with, Traction Next, is something that brings it all together. So it's sort of like all in one type solution. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I think the idea is to start small, start understanding what are the things that you really want to use or that you really want to collect, and start with those things. And it could be just an EDM. It could be just a landing page. So you don't need a big team, a lot of skills to do that. But the
Yeah.
idea is that you already think about what you're going to communicate after to keep them engaged. I think that's the idea. I think there is studies they say the first 30 to 60 days are key, you know, in order to keep someone engaged with your brand, or the three more times loyal or something like that. So I think it's a key thing that a lot of marketers missing now.
Yeah. So expanding on that. So if a business, big or small, if they've got a limited knowledge about how to produce effective acquisition campaigns, what would you suggest are the top things they should consider or it could implement today? And I know you just mentioned that starting small, setting up the basics, a landing page, but what else could you suggest? Like, is it perhaps mapping it out on paper or any other sort of tips and tricks that you could suggest?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's planning on paper. I think whatever we actually run campaigns for clients, even for ourselves, what we do is we actually put together a map of the campaigns. We start from the beginning. We actually map the different catch points. And if we have available, we actually map the communication. If it's going to be an SMS, it's going to be an email, it's going to be retargeting. So then you start thinking about the whole bigger picture, and you can actually pull the right resources. So I think I'll probably say the top thing to do is just planning. Sit down, put in a piece of paper your journey. Start small. Start with the things that you want to communicate, and map the first 7 days or the first 30 days of your customer engagement. You know, I think what are you going to communicate? What channels are you going to be using? That's key. But it comes hand in hand with like your audience as well.
Okay, so do you actually think about it more like a time frame of planning rather than like a buying stage or customer stage planning? Do you do that, or do you go, what do the first 7 days look like?
It's a combination of a couple of things, because essentially acquisition campaigns are just tactics. And then they need to plug into an ongoing program that you have where there is this awareness, consideration, you know, loyalty. So I'm imagining that an acquisition campaign, you can run an activation campaign in a shopping center, online, social media, and that should actually feed to the same already existing program where you already have a monthly newsletter for awareness and consideration. You know, you've got your surprise and delights. So if we're talking about acquisition, it's just the acquisition bit, but you need to think that for probably the rest of the journey will be already in place, or if not, you're right. You need to think about the first 30 days, and then what are you going to do after that? You know, the 12 months. It's a monthly campaign. There is a health check campaign every 3 months, depends on your service. Is that like a surprise and delight? If you're offering a service that it's like a, 12-month membership, and towards month 8, month 9, you start surprise and delight with like discounts and things like that. I think that works quite well. But again, it goes hand in hand in how much data and how much understanding do you have of your customers, how much money they spend, how often do they visit your website, how often do they open your emails. So behavioral information, I think essentially that's what it is.
Yeah, so I'm quite curious about this because I know that there are a lot of businesses out there that still rely on Excel spreadsheets to manage customer data. There's, from my experience, there are a lot of free tools out there that like free CRM tools that can house that customer data and house it securely, which is the most important part. But what would you suggest is the first starting point when considering a CRM system? Is it more about documenting all the types of data that you want to collect, or is do you have to really think about your business itself, or where do you start? What would you say there?
I'd probably say that you start with your core business, the services that you provide, the information that you're going to be collecting. If you're a digital business, there is no point for you to start collecting like postal address, for example, because you're never going to use that information. And it's going to be extra fields in your database that you're never going to use. It's thinking about what are you going to do with the data? Are you going to use key information to segments such as, I don't know, age or postcode or gender, or preference. I think preference center it's an amazing and very powerful way to actually communicate when customers want it, at the time that they want it, and they're using the channel that they prefer.
Right.
Because they tell you, this is how you want, this is how I want to be communicated,
Yeah. That's good. I'm also curious to understand, how do you see acquisition campaigns evolving over time? And what are some of the big things businesses should be aware of for the future?
I think innovation is going to be key. I think we can see a lot of people working from home. I think the use of artificial intelligence. I've seen a lot of campaigns. I mean, I saw a couple of campaigns they were using face recognition. That was 3 years ago. And they were changing the ads based on the sentiment, based on how they see your face. And there were activation campaigns, really early stages at that time. But I think moving forward, the use of artificial intelligence to complement your marketing campaign is going to be key.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to be challenging as well because people are more aware of privacy as well. So I think it's going to be interesting to get customers to actually know how much information people know about them and how they're going to use that information to marketing back. Because it's easier to put like a suggestion options, purchase suggestions at the bottom of emails or on your search engine. But when people realize obviously they're trying to upsell you things, it's going to be different,
Yeah, and with the clients that you work with, are there any major considerations when you're dealing with clients that are international, that have, say, presence in Europe versus America and Australia?
GDPR, we've got an office in the UK, so our platform is GDPR compliant, and in Europe it's quite big. It's not as big in Australia yet, but I think it's a matter of time. In Australia we late adopters anyway, so I think we see other people implementing things, and when we see that it's working, we pretty much implement it locally. So I think it's a matter of time before people actually understand the data rights. They understand that they've got they can actually request to delete information, and marketers probably need to be more agile in the way they interact with people and give them real benefits,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what would you say is the sort of anything else that people might need to be aware of regarding acquisition campaigns, or if they're interested in understanding more about this topic, what's the best way of getting in touch with you?
LinkedIn. I think, if you just hit me up in LinkedIn, I'll be happy to help, and very passionate about marketing and digital marketing in general. So if anyone's got any questions, any concerns, and we can help, I'll be happy to help.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time, Alex. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
Thank you.
No worries.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Alex Catalan from Traction Next. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more. If you have any questions about acquisition campaigns or anything that was discussed in the episode, please leave a comment below or connect with me via the links below. Stay tuned for more marketing talks and check out my other videos while you're here. Take care.